All right. We should be live right now. Hold on. Gonna pull that up. All right. Everybody, hopefully you guys are quickly here because you joined me from the other stream. I've got a very special guest today. None other than Gary Yourofsky here, the one and only. So, I know based on the last stream, there's various opinions and views on Gary Yourofsky, but one thing that cannot be denied is, how many people he's impacted when it comes to animal rights and veganism. So, I'm very excited to have him on. Um, Gary, do you want to do you want to say anything to start with, or do you have anything?
I'm ready to go, baby. Let's
Okay,
go. Hit me with
okay.
some questions. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me on, though, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Absolutely.
And
Let
nothing is
me
off limits, just so you know. You ask away.
and that's one thing I definitely want to start with is first off, I appreciate, I mean, I don't have the biggest channel, and I appreciate that on Georgia's stream, you said you're taking request, you said you're you're ready to go on, no matter the size of the channel. And I appreciate that you didn't ask me about what I like. You just said, yeah, I'm doing it. Like you're going on channels, you're open to conflict or confrontation, you're open to different views. That's all. I mean, you got to respect that. So that's great. Um,
I'm a man of the people, man. I talk to anybody, just like my lecture tour. I went to rural America. I spoke at Halifax Community College, a small college in North Carolina. I spoke at Penn State, University of Michigan, Oakland Community College. I'll go anywhere that people will listen.
no, that's great. That's great. And I'm actually, guys. So before we start the stream, I should say Gary mentioned to me, and I'm sure you've heard it on other streams, that the main goal of this is to raise money for Sasha Farm. It's an animal sanctuary in Michigan, if I recall correctly. So definitely donate. I'm putting a what's it called, a pinned message, so to a link directly to Sasha Farm's website, so you could donate directly there. If you do have a question and you want it read, I'm going to be looking at the chat, but if I miss anything, if you definitely want your question read and Gary to respond to it, if you donate to this stream directly to me, I'm going to tally up all the donations and I'll donate that to Sasha Farms as well. So everything gets donated. In terms of donations, you could either do it directly on Sasha Farms website or directly to me. Either way, I'll let you know what the donation is.
Thank you
Um,
very much for doing that. And by the way, even if you're not a fan of me, that should not stop you from donating to Sasha Farm. I don't get money from Sasha Farm. Help out the animals. Scream at me all you want, but please help out the animals at the sanctuary.
And I guess that's one thing I wanted to ask you personally, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Gary. When I first saw you come back and talk about Sasha Farms, it did kind of it gave kind of like a scammer vibe. I'm gonna be honest, like it gave kind of like a crypto vibe. I don't think, like, based on what you've been sharing, based on what you've been saying, I don't think that's the case. But can you explain like the importance of Sasha Farm to you a little bit? Because I think it would help bring some clarity.
Absolutely. Listen, man, I've been going to this place for 30 years. It's my personal Garden of Eden. But more importantly, it's a Garden of Eden for all those animals that have been rescued. They always have around 200 animals there, give or take 50 either way. It would break my heart if this place closed down. Unfortunately, in 2021, Dorothy Davies passed away. She was the matriarch of this place. Her partner did not run it correctly afterward, and he is demanding that we pay clarify, Sasha Farm would be fine. We always bring in around 250K every year. That's what it costs to keep the place going. But if we don't get the money to pay Monty off, we're going to be in serious trouble. And he took out 250 from the coffers as a down payment because we did a land contract, so we still owe 425. So that's what I'm trying to raise right now. Again, I receive no compensation. This is out of the generosity of my heart. In fact, I flew to Frankfurt. This is how bad it is. I paid $800 for an airline ticket just to raise $5,000 in Germany from Michigan. I'm
Wow.
looking to go anywhere that we can bring in whatever we can. I'm doing all these shows too, just hoping maybe 500 or $1,000 comes in, because every penny counts, and it's all for the animals. Shara Jones is the animal care manager. She does receive a salary, 50,000. That's a reasonable price from what I've heard. Sometimes it goes up to 90. And we have a couple other employees that are getting like $21 an hour. So
Wow.
at very minimum, going to the workers. Most of it is all volunteer based, and everything. We just want to help these animals out. And I'm a little shocked that the movement is really taking a turn against sanctuaries, claiming that they're a waste of money. For all the evil things that we've done to animals, trillions of animals for thousands of years, I swear to God, these animals deserve everything. And I don't care what it costs. Can somebody really go look a cow in the eye and say, I'm sorry, buddy, 20 years of hay for you, can't afford it? Even though we murder 1 billion cows every year on this planet, I just think it's outrageous that we can't come up with enough money as vegans. This is our responsibility, that we're the ones going out there trying to convince people to save animals. And if we do that, some animals are going to need a home. So please support Sasha Farm. And listen, if it's not Sasha Farm, support the sanctuary in your area then. Whatever it is, and go and volunteer a couple hours every week. I've been doing that for 30 years. Do something for the sanctuaries.
No, well said, man. And the same vegans who will be against sanctuaries are also against a lot of other things that don't really make any sense. So I've heard a lot of crazy stuff since I've been in the space. But yeah, I mean, as especially if the goal is to liberate animals, there's gonna be animals that need homes, like you said, right? It's almost like what's happening to dogs and cats, right? There's a space now where you don't actually have like there's too many of them that need homes and not enough people willing to adopt or willing to take care of them. So we don't want to see that happen to cows and pigs and chickens. They need homes. So I agree with you there.
And I don't want to scare people and act like these animals are going to die if Sasha Farm doesn't get the money. But Sasha will have to close down and contact other sanctuaries who are also struggling and try to relocate all these animals. And the thing that bothers me, the animals aren't stupid. A lot of people want to say they're stupid. They're completely aware. And they're aware about the trucks that we put them in. And they know damn well when one of those trucks comes around, they usually don't come back. So I don't want to stress them out and have to put them on a truck, even though they're going to a safe place. If we have to close down, they're going to be freaked out like, oh my God, where are they taking me now? What are they doing to me now? So I want Sasha Farm to stay around, not only for another 40 years, maybe for another 400 years. It's a wonderful place. And if you're ever in Michigan, Manchester, Michigan, please go check it out. And once a year, there's a huge spring social, and I'm always there too. If people want to hang out with me, take a picture with me, talk to me, I'm there every year for the spring social. And there's other events too. Check out the website, sashafarm.org.
Cool, cool, very cool. And because there's a couple questions I have that are just like kind of like personal because I just never heard you answer them. Are you from Michigan? Is that why? Like, are
Oh,
you
born and raised in Michigan. I've
okay?
tried to live elsewhere. I always seem to end back up in Michigan. Um, it just has that home feel for me. Although I'm on a journey right now. I'm in Germany. I was in Frankfurt last month. I'm in Cologne right now with the Anonymous for the Voiceless Cube of Truths. I don't know where I'm going after this. So I'm on a journey. I might not be going back to Michigan. I'm listening to the universe, listening to God. Where is he taking me? I don't know, but I'm all open.
Okay,
Wide
okay,
open.
got it, got it. All right. So very cool. So and we'll get
Oh, and
into.
by the way,
Oh,
I actually live right off of 8 Mile, the famous 8 Mile that Emma
oh,
never
really?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny story, if you don't know the backstory, before I became vegan, I wanted to be a rapper. 1992. In fact, if you punch my name into
Oh, Gary,
YouTube,
you're
and
spoiling the show,
I'm
Gary. I've
sorry,
got
I'm
a
sorry.
surprise. I've got a
Okay, go
surprise
ahead,
for
go ahead,
you.
go ahead.
Hold on, don't hold on. You're spoiling. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna get to that. Like, I got a
Go
couple of
ahead, go ahead.
surprises here.
Okay.
That's funny you brought that up. That's so funny because you haven't brought that up yet. Okay. So when it comes to activism, right? So first off, I could probably dig for this, but I just so everyone's on the same page. How old are you and how long have you been vegan, Gary?
Well, I'm about to be 55 on August 19th.
Awesome. Happy
This
early
month,
birthday.
This month marks my 29th year of veganism. People around here have been calling me the OG, although I did a show yesterday with Dr. Douglas Graham, the 80-10-10 guy. I think he's almost 50 years vegan, so I had to call him the real OG. But 29 years is a long time. 96 was the year that I changed my life, and it's been a hell of a journey. In fact, just from the food choices. I mean, in 1996, if you didn't like Boca burgers, you were shit out of luck because that was the only veggie burger on the market. Now you got like 25 or 50 veggie burgers to choose from. Back then, when we went to Subway, that veggie, the veggie sub, a salad on a bun, we were like, oh my God, a salad on a bun, isn't this great? So the food selections have definitely increased, and I've seen it change. In fact, I watched it go from kind of tasting rubbery to tasting like, man, you can't tell the difference. And I've seen some of this stuff over the years. I mean, I've questioned things. I'm like, there's no way this stuff's vegan. Bullshit.
Yeah, me too.
Are
No,
you sure
I'll go to a fully vegan restaurant and they'll give me something and be like, wait a second, hold on, something's up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, no, that's awesome. So vegan 29 years, so since 1996. And how long were you doing activism for?
I started right away, man. My first
Wow.
year, I was right in. I started joining some local groups. I think back then it was HARE, Humanitarians for Animal Rights Education. Started doing street protest. In fact, I ran the gamut of activism back in the 90s. I wanted to experiment with everything to see which ones were the most effective. That's when I also formed my organization, ADAPT. I started doing some media interviews. I did civil disobedience. I got arrested. I think people know about the direct action I did in 97, the mink liberation in Canada.
Mm.
I was politicking, lobbying, writing letters to the editor. I was trying everything because I wanted to know which one was going to work.
Okay, very cool. And just a quick shout out, recommended dose donated $5. So that's going to Sasha Farms. I love Gary's big F you to Jordan Peterson in quotes. Now I don't know if you said that or if he just means because vegan, but did you say that?
I'm not sure who is Jordan Peterson. I
Jordan Peterson.
probably did.
Jordan Peterson is a oh, I don't how do I begin? He's on the lion diet, so he promotes the carnivore diet,
Oh,
and he's like a very well known like
okay.
psychologist, but he's like a pseudoscientist kind of. But
I don't remember specifically calling him out. I probably did at some point, but keep in mind now, I'm almost going to be 55. When I started, there was no internet. So actually, I never really got into social media. I experimented in 2010 or 11 for a second, tried it again in 2015 or 17 or something like that. But I never really got involved, so I don't recognize the name. And I apologize to anybody any vegans out there who have been kicking ass for the last 10 years. I really haven't paid attention to anything. It's not personal. I just have this love-hate relationship with technology. I love YouTube and I hate everything else.
no, look, I'm the same way, Gary. I actually just got off Instagram. I honestly, I like. There's a certain level of hatred I have for these social media apps because they completely ruin. It could have been a great thing. It could have been a fantastic thing, but with the algorithm, with everything they push, it really is bad for my mental health and probably most
Yeah.
people. So I hear you
You know, it's
there.
funny though. I actually just got on the Instagram. Not. I mean, kind of the guys down here at Anonymous for the Voiceless signed me up to an
Hmm.
IG account. I don't understand it. It's like reading Chinese textbooks to me. I am recording everything because some people are thinking it's AI. It is me. I just don't know how to post anything. Like press this, do this, download this, hit this, share it with that, tag this. I'm like, what the fuck? Why can't I just press one button and it goes on? I don't get it. So I am recording stuff. And for people out there, there was my original site. I just grabbed it back in 2014 or something. The Real Gary Yourofsky. I only posted twice and never did anything. I forgot the password. It's connected to an old email account, so I can't get back on. So the new one is Real Gary Yourofsky without the. So Real Gary Yourofsky is back online, Instagram. And I might be getting on all the other platforms too, but I am going to have to hire somebody to help me out because I don't get it.
No,
I
I
was
hear
a
you.
street activist. I was in the classroom. I was in the jailhouse. I was on the street corners. Online stuff just doesn't click with me, although I guess I hear that it's valuable. So we're going to
Yeah,
try
no, I
it.
mean that's kind of unfortunately that's the only way to communicate or to get your message across nowadays, or one of the only ways. But speaking of, I wanted to reference something you just mentioned earlier, how you said, you've been out of the game, so people who've been, kicking ass online, you kind of had tunnel vision there. So if I heard correctly before, you've been retired for, oh, Gary, did I lose you? Oh, hold on.
All right.
Okay, there we go. Okay, got you back. So you've been retired for about 11 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what have you been up to, man? Like that's the thing. Like that's what I like personally. Like, what have you been? I know you spend a lot of time with Sasha Farms, and you mentioned that. But anything, any hobbies, any other pursuits, or
I haven't been doing much, man. I was in the trenches for so long. I got so burnt out. I've only been sleeping about 2 hours a night for the last 25 years. Sometimes I get 4 hours a night and I'm thrilled.
wow,
The stress levels were very high. For the first time in my activist career, I had to take care of myself. I just couldn't function anymore. My brain had melted from dealing with society. I didn't even know during the last year of my lectures in 2014, what the hell are we arguing about? I'm asking you not to rape somebody else, not to steal somebody else's baby, not to mutilate somebody else, and not to murder somebody else who has never harmed you in any way. And the fights that did happen. Now, the majority of my speeches went wonderfully, just so people know. I was averaging about 200 talks a year. Only 15 or 20 would turn into Jerry Springer shows. And it wasn't my fault, it was the crowd's fault. So I had a great ratio, but those 15 to 20 Jerry Springer shows year after year just built on me. I had some inflammation in my hands. I couldn't even close and make a fist. Good news. After all this rest, I'm making a fist these days. My legs were inflamed. I was just burnt out beyond belief. Now, I was still doing stuff, but the word activist is sacred to me because of the things that I did, from the jailhouse and the street corner to the classroom. So I couldn't in good conscience keep calling myself an activist. I told a few people I actually saved 150 skunks in my city because some maniac was catching them and drowning them in his backyard. And
wow,
it was my city too. So I went and found this fucker and I knocked on his door and I said, if I hear that you drown one more skunk, I'm gonna do the same fucking thing to you. And he backed down. He said, well, wait a second. Why don't you just relocate him? I said, why don't you just stop catching him? He wouldn't stop catching him. So I ended up relocating him and working with this guy. At least I just saved those animals, gave them a new place to stay. I was helping caterpillars become butterflies, which was a cool little thing. I heard that 90% of caterpillars get eaten by birds and insects. So I would go out and find them first, put them in a safe enclosure, feed them, and then after they hatch, I would set them free. And I was volunteering at Sasha Farm, and frankly, I was smoking a lot of weed. It was relaxing me after I worked out in the morning and after I got my stuff done around the house, cleaning the house and working in the garden. I just wanted to sit down and get high and fade away into oblivion and watch YouTube and listen to Judas Priest and AC/DC and Queen and check out some Eminem and Tech Nine. It was a very relaxing time that helped me recuperate. But something called me a few months ago and just dragged me back out. And here I am again. In fact, I'll tell you the funny story. So there was a guy I converted in Frankfurt near Rosenfeld. He has opened up 7 vegan restaurants in Frankfurt,
wow.
and he credits me with everything that I changed his life. So I called him over the summer and I said, don't get too excited. I'm thinking of coming to Frankfurt to visit you. And he's like, oh my God. I said, calm down. I said, I'm just thinking about it. I really like my little sanctuary that I've created at my house. And then I got a call from Paul Bashir from Anonymous for the Voiceless, a good friend of mine, but I haven't talked to him in 2 or 3 years. And I said to him, so what are you up to? He said, well, I'm going to be in Cologne for some AV Cubes of Truth. I said, what? Of all the gin joints in all the world, you're going to be in Cologne and I'm thinking of going to Frankfurt. You got to be fucking kidding me. So I looked up at the heavens. I said, okay, I'm listening. I said, you know what? Tell everyone at the Cube of Truth I'm coming down. And I called Near. I said, I'm coming down and I'm just listening to the universe right now. And also personally, like I said, I'm willing to talk about everything. My wife Erica and I separated last August after 15 years together. Still wonderful friends. We just fell out of love. Actually, we still live together. That's how good of friends that we are, and that we've been, and that we're going to be for always. But so this journey is just, reigniting my activism, helping Sasha Farm, and who knows, finding somebody else, meeting somebody else. So I'm on this cool journey and doing all these podcasts. I'm actually really loving telling stories and trying to get activists really active and focused again.
No, I think that's you're already sparking a lot of like content and conversation. So I think that's already on the, you're already on the tracks there. Um,
I got to tell you, I didn't realize all these years. I didn't realize so many people were listening. I was in my own little bubble of activism. I got tired of all the social stuff that was going on, and I was involved in it during the late 90s. I kept going to every veg fest, every conference, and I kept seeing the same 600 people, 800 people. And wait a second, didn't I just see you last month over there? I said, what the hell are we doing? Just getting together and patting each other on the back and telling stories? So in 2000, I decided to break away, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go do what I can do on my own, whatever I can do. So when I got into the classrooms, that was my focus. These 25 students, these 100 students, these 300 students, and I'm just going to reach these people. So that's what I focused on all those years. So I didn't realize so many people were paying attention elsewhere, because now when I've been in Germany, 95% of all the vegans I meet are Gary vegans, and 95% of all the activists are Gary vegan activists. I'm like, you got to be kidding. You guys are really, you were listening all this time. Wow. So it's, and I didn't do this for adoration. I didn't do it for that reason. It was just about trying to reach as many people as I could. But listen, it's always nice when somebody pats you on the back and says, "Man, you changed my life." So it's been a hell of a trip to Germany. I'll tell you that. It's been wonderful.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I've been vegan for 8 years, right? So I went vegan while you were retired. But I came across your speech, that video. Everyone knows the video. Um,
Right.
so so yeah, and that's, I guess that's the importance of the internet, right? Because I couldn't attend a lecture, right? I would have never been able to come, cross your path because I went vegan. I was 18, right? I wasn't even in
Right.
college yet, but because of the video, that opened my eyes to new ideas and the ethics of when it comes to like animal rights and everything. So,
Right.
so yeah,
What
no,
was
it's
crazy too is, as I was getting high every day out of my mind, I was also laughing, going, I think I'm still converting people because of YouTube, even though I'm sitting in my underwear, smoking a joint, watching Sports Center and watching YouTube all day long. So it was great that I did realize all the legwork that I put in, it was still paying off. And it's still paying off right now, to be honest with you. It's crazy to me. And I know a lot of people mark me as narcissistic or arrogant. You can label me whatever you want, but you don't know me. Do you know that I have forgotten more than 90% of all the things that I said? So when I was coming down to Germany, I wanted to refresh my memory. I flick on my speech, the Georgia Tech speech, and I'm watching it going, oh my God. I said, oh, holy shit. Erica, do you remember me saying this? And she goes, Gary, yeah, I remember. Everybody remembers except you. And I'm watching it going, oh, I know why people dig this. That's some tight shit. So I was watching all my stuff going, oh man, oh yeah, I forgot I came up with that. So I'm not sitting around watching my own stuff. I'm not sitting around patting myself on the back. I still have a tough time remembering everything I said. Even when I rewatched it, I was like, I can't remember this stuff anymore. I said too much shit over the years. So I'm just kind of freestyling these days, and
no,
I've
no,
been doing
that's
it long enough so I can definitely freestyle. Although Eminem's a better freestyle.
Gary, we did lose your image. We can still hear you, but we did lose your video here. Um, Hold on.
I think I lost you again, brother. You froze up on me.
Oh, I froze up? Okay, hold on. Let's see. Maybe, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, all right, everybody. I think we lost Gary for a second here. Hold on. All right, we will get Gary back. So far, pretty good. Okay, here we go. There it is. Okay, hold on.
Brother,
Yep.
your screen froze up on me.
Yeah. We
I don't know
lost
if
you
it was
too.
mine in though. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good back. Okay. Yes, but we heard everything,
The
so
the
we could hear you the whole time.
okay. All right.
Um,
The love-hate relationship with technology. It's amazing that we can do this, but this shit freezes up all the
I
time.
know. I
I
know.
lost
Yeah.
it yesterday. I ended up losing it a couple times during the Doug Graham interview.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But so, and that's one of the criticisms that with the reaction I was doing prior, was that, calling yourself calling people Gary Vegans, calling this, it comes off as bragging, right? And the
Oh,
thing is, I'm, and again, I might be biased here myself, but I've never heard you like inflate, because like I've never heard you exaggerate. I've never heard you like inflate your ego. Calling people Gary Vegans, I think there's a certain threshold where after people come up to you, right? Because it's not like you're coming up to people being like, "Hey, you're vegan because of me," right? After a
right.
certain number of people come up to you and say, "Hey, I went vegan," or "You opened my eyes to veganism," or whatever it is, because of your speech or because of you, um, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that there are a lot of people who have gone vegan or have gone down the vegan path because of your speech or because of you. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I mean, I am one of
It's
those.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm just being cute, by the way. Everyone, okay. I know I have a militant side. I get it. Everyone's seen it. But I don't know why people don't see my comedic side. As much as I love to imitate Malcolm X, I love to imitate George Carlin, Larry David, and Mel Brooks more. So I'm just being goofy and silly. And yes, what you said, everybody keeps coming up to me in Germany. I went vegan because of you. Or in Israel, when I had that whirlwind tour back in 2012 and 13, where they say I converted 5 to 10% of the population. It was like, wow, man, all these Gary vegans. Like people, in fact, in Israel, they had a Hebrew slang word after I left there in 13. Tivoni is Hebrew for vegan. So they would go up to people when vegans would meet each other. They would ask, what made you vegan? And they'd say, Gary Tivo, Tivo Gary, and it meant I'm a Gary vegan. Gary made you vegan, so that became the slang word. That's when I first heard about it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm not looking for adoration, but that's kind of cool. I'm like, all right, Gary vegans. I went out, did the legwork, but yeah, it's not like I'm making money off this. It's not like this is. I don't know why people would be upset with that. I mean,
Right. Well,
it's
I,
so
I
silly
think
to me.
people are so used to like this whole like overcome, because I feel, especially on the internet, right? People are so used to kind of doubling down, making sure they don't come off as this way, making sure they don't come off as that way. But here, I mean, I appreciate the honesty. Like, look, if I converted, or if a bunch of people came up to me saying I turned you vegan, I would find that cool as well, right? I'd be talking about it probably for a week. You know what I mean? Like I get it. I totally get it. But
It's crazy. And listen, all the estimates out there, they're saying at least a couple 100,000. And some estimates go as high as millions of people. And if you count the people that I've influenced, like Vegan Gains, Paul Bashir, Joey Carbstrong, Earthling Ed, and
yeah.
a slew of other people, don't I kind of get credit for that domino effect? I mean,
No,
it's
look,
crazy.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Look, I totally get it.
And
So
by
I
the
don't.
way, my honesty scares people. Do you know why? Most people don't know the main reason professors love to bring me into their classrooms. They would all say, we've never met anybody so open and honest and willing to talk about their feelings. You're not a politician. You could ask me anything in that classroom, just like I said, you can ask me anything. And people would ask me radical stuff like, what do you think about violence? Well, I gave you my answer, what I think about violence. And you're probably not going to like it. Now, people misconstrue what I say. I'm not talking about blowing up a McDonald's. That's just absurd. I'm talking about busting into a slaughterhouse. They're the ones that are violent, and we got guns drawn. And I'm saying, no, you drop your weapons. That's retaliatory, justifiable violence. So, but if most people want to act like a politician and say things that the crowd wants to hear, I prided myself in saying things that they needed to hear or things that I felt. I don't know why people say, oh, Gary, why would you say that? Well, because it's how I feel. I'm not
Right,
allowed
right.
to express my feelings. I have to express your feelings. Like so, but the professors loved it. And for anybody who thinks, oh, it was too radical, why did all these professors continuously bring me in? And these weren't vegan professors. 90% of my professors were meat, dairy, and egg eating profs. The vegan professors gave me more trouble than the meat eating ones. They thought, oh, it's going to be biased if I bring you in, Gary. I can't. And I would say, are you kidding me? Since when has there been a class on veganism? From kindergarten to now, there's been none, but everything is eat more meat, eat more cheese, eat more dairy. So bringing me in evens the playing field. But
Right.
the vegan professors would run away from me and the meat eating ones would bring me in. Even the animal agriculture professors brought me in. Ohio State University, David Zartman and Stephen Boyles. There was another one that I can't remember. I had 3 ag professors bringing me in 6 to 8 times a year to Ohio State University, wanting to hear what I had to say, even if they didn't agree. So I hate to say it, but God bless the meat, dairy, and egg eating professors for keeping the vegan tour alive.
Yeah, no, that is very cool. That is very cool that they were open to that. Um, and I want to get into more, the main topic I want to discuss with you because you've mentioned a lot about mental health struggles or even physical health struggles due to stress and everything with vegan activism. But before that, I did really want to ask you because I haven't heard you ever talk about this, but dating as a vegan. So I want to ask because again, you went vegan in '96. That's a long time, and as few vegans as there are now, there was probably way fewer back then. What what was dating like for you? Like, were you looking specifically for other vegans once you went vegan? Are you like what's going on there?
That's the first time anyone ever asked me. I love a new question, by the way. Wow. First of all, I would only date a vegan. The only exception would be if somebody didn't know, and everybody knows, you could use your vegan radar and go, this person is unaware. If I told them what would happen, I'm
Hmm.
positive they would change. That's how I was in the classroom too. I'd walk in, I'd be like, oh, good, good, bad, on the fence. I knew the students that were open-minded, so that would be the only exception. So I always got lucky. I always found a vegan goddess. Found a few over the years. Wow, I can't even remember in the 90s, though, who I was dating. Boy, my brain has melted so much. But Kate Timko in 2004, in fact, she started lecturing with me. You can go online and find a lecture put my name in and put Kate Timko. She was with me a couple years. Erica Windish, who I had been with now for 15 years. We had just broken up. I mentioned that. She actually came on the road from '09 to about 14. She would help out during the Q&A. She had wonderful information to offer, especially about pregnancy and things like that, because she's a doula. Um, right now, I'm trying to woo somebody that I met.
Oh,
I'm sure
nice.
hoping that's going to work. Part of this coming out to Germany. I'm looking for a vegan goddess too. I'm pretty sure I found her. I just got to make sure she's going to reciprocate.
All right, good for you, man. That's awesome to
Yeah.
hear. Yeah, that's it. Because I feel you when you say about the who you think are gonna change. Because when I met, I'm married, and when I met my wife, she was vegetarian, for like the environment, like she had an environmental class and they talked about how bad, you know, uh, uh, beef was for the environment. So she was already vegetarian. So then once I explained, how animals are exploited in dairy, how animals are exploited in eggs, she went vegan almost immediately. And that's the thing, right? It's like, you can't blame people for being ignorant, right? You can only blame them once they're educated and they still choose to do the wrong thing or contribute to it. So, yeah,
That,
that's
by the way, that's so spot on, and that's how I felt entering every classroom because I heard the snickers, right? People, oh, here's the vegan guy. Fucking vegans here today. Should have brought a hamburger. I never was mad at anybody beforehand because I was the same way. It was after the lecture, which is
yeah,
why I close most of my speeches by saying, "So what's your excuse now?" And then it was like, wait a second, I already answered that. You weren't really paying attention. Did you think logic?
oh, we lost Gary again, man. Okay, here we go.
Hello, hello.
All right, you're back. You're back. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we lost you
I
at
was saying about the,
yeah.
okay. I was saying about the vegan dating. I was always amazed when I ran into vegans who were dating or married to non-vegans. Like, how in the hell do you not have a fight 3 times a day when it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Because I would not and could not go through with that. And I would not have dead animals in my house, in my refrigerator, under any circumstances. You are not allowed to bring that shit near my house. I won't even allow, people with cowskin shoes to come in my house. So I'm honestly, when the plumber has to come over, he takes his shoes off at the front door, and he knows it. And he's very sweet about it too. I told him, I explained it to him. He goes, "Oh, absolutely, Mr. Gary, no problem." So that's amazing to me. And I don't want people to be like, "Oh, Gary's dogging me out." But man, listen, for the women out there, let me throw this out there. I never get a chance to say it. And keep in mind my comedic side. Women, it should be easy for you to convert your men to veganism. 3 words: shut your legs. You watch, in 1 week, your man will be coming home with a package of tofu going, "I don't know how to make it, honey, but I'm willing to try some tofu." Use the power that you have over us, because we are weak and we suck and we will melt and break down. Other way around, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah,
It seems like
I don't think it works the same the other way around.
for women, you have the edge on us. Okay, use it to your ability. use it
Yeah, that's
use it for the animal's sake. Yeah.
I also have no idea. I also have no clue how anyone can date. So it's like dating a racist, right? It's like dating somebody who is doing something like very against your own values. And not only that, but you have to see it. Like because I've seen people, I've heard of vegans dating non-vegans where they only eat non-vegan like privately, they'll go on their own, which I still
Right.
disagree with, but that one I could kind of see, but to have like animal flesh in your home, like eggs, dairy, no way, man, no way.
Even the other way, okay, better, you're not bringing it around, but I know where you were.
Right,
I
right.
know it's on your breath.
Right, it's
I
like
know
catching
what's
them
in your
cheating,
mouth.
right? It's like catching them cheating. It's like, wait a second, I smell something here. Yeah.
Yeah, the longtime vegan Chrissy Hine, lead singer of the Pretenders, once made a statement that lips that touch flesh will never touch mine. So
Wow.
yeah, I still don't know how that would work when they're coming back home, and they've been out with their friends eating flesh burgers.
Yeah.
That's very bizarre to me. I don't know what to say
No,
else
no,
about
but it's cool. I
that.
appreciate you answering that. I wish you best of luck with your new goddess endeavors. So that's very cool. Um, okay, so here's the biggest thing, because I've been doing activism like I'm like you, right? I'm kind of like an all or nothing kind of guy. So when I'm doing activism, like I'm an activist. I'm doing this, pedal to the metal kind of thing. So I've been doing that for about 2 years. In the past few months, I've had to take a step back because my wife has had some health issues that, is we need a lot of like attentiveness. Um, so my biggest thing is like, first off, how do you balance like personal issues, right? Whether it's loved ones, personal health, things like that, with the desire to make change or to help the animals. Like how did you, especially in your prime, how do you manage stuff like that?
Well, if it's personal issues, like how did I deal with non-vegan family members and friends, I cut them loose.
Okay.
Basically, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense. My mother and my sister and my sister's family, we didn't talk for around 11 years, and it wasn't because of me. I was asking something simple. I mean, when you went out to dinner with me, you ate vegan. No, we didn't eat, and I didn't understand what the problem was, because there were 364 other days of the year where you can eat whatever the fuck you wanted to eat. Are you telling me this one meal you can't have no dead animals on your plate? Because that's just pathetic. My oldest friend, Darren, is still not vegan, but Darren a long time ago said, "Man, I'll eat vegan with you whenever you want, honestly." And he always made that statement that if you lived with me, man, I would be vegan all the time. And I just go, you're such a lazy bastard. You act like I make the most exotic meals. Like I'm boiling barley, 1 cup of barley, 4 cups of water. Yeah, so difficult to do every morning. Boiling 4 cups of water and 1 cup of lentils. You know, making a smoothie with 10 pieces of fruit. Oh my God, how difficult. But, you know, I kept Darren around because he gave me good material. So a lot of the things that I would write about in the speech, like that one section where I said, you guys talk a good game, you say something sad, but you don't do anything. That was Darren. One day he's talking to me, he's saying everything right. I go, you are just so fucking pathetic. You're so full of shit. You acknowledge all the things that are wrong in this world, and you don't fucking change one thing to make the world a better place. I said, but I'm going to keep you around because this is good material, man. So now I don't say he's my best friend anymore because we really don't talk that often nor hang out very often. He's just my oldest friend. We've known each other since we were 8 years old. So we got more than 40 some odd years together.
Wow.
And it's tough. I don't have a magic formula to make your friends and your family members understand this. I wish somebody would tell me, because I've converted a couple 100,000 strangers around the world, but not one friend and not one family member has ever converted because of me. And how to deal with stress, again, I wish I knew the answer. I had to just back out. I just had to take that time off. I had to lock myself away in my own house. Again, I really just went to the gym every morning, grocery store, and I'm back home in my own little world. I'm in the garden outside. I found peace out there. I made my backyard, a sanctuary for animals. I got 2 bird baths, so I always had about 25 or 30 birds waiting to jump in. And I would change those bird baths 7, 8 times a day, so they always had fresh water. I got a groundhog living back there this year. There were 6 or 7 bunny rabbits with baby bunnies. Last year, I'm standing there, and a brown rat comes out and just walks right by me, saunters right by me. I remember looking down going, you picked the right yard to come to, man, because you can stay here too. Just stay here. Don't go to somebody else's
Right,
yard.
right. Like, thank God you came into my yard. Yeah.
Right. So I love, and we had praying mantises and all those butterflies we were saving. So I just made my own little world, a peaceful world. Nowadays, I do a lot of deep breathing. I mean, before this interview, I just laid down on the bed for about 45 minutes and in through my nose, out through my mouth. It really relaxes me. I got a crazy brain though. I can't meditate. That whole Shavasana part in yoga, it actually ticks me off now. It's like I'm looking around the room, everyone's meditating, and I'm going, the fuck, man? I can't stop this brain. So this brain of mine has been a curse and a blessing all these years. The blessing is everyone heard the speeches. That's because this brain won't fucking stop. Every time I lay down at night, my brain says, okay, Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly are going to say this. And what are you going to say? I'm like, no, come on. I just want to sleep. Come on, Gary. They're going to say this. What are you going to say? And then I go, oh, I got something really good. Okay, can I go to sleep now? No, because then they're going to say this. And what are you going to say? And now you're with Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, and they're being sarcastic with you. What are you going to say to this? I'm like, oh my God. So all night long, I couldn't sleep. All I did was come up with great ideas and clever ways to say things. And then, yeah, the whole curse is I couldn't sleep. And listen, lack of sleep. I've read studies recently. I'm really worried. It says 2/3 or 2/3 of your genes can stop working properly if you don't get proper sleep. So
Yeah.
my recommendation is, I don't know how to, but get proper sleep. I'm really trying to get up to 6 or 7 hours a night. Again, sometimes I get to 4 and I'm just thrilled. You gotta de-stress somehow, gotta relax, find a peaceful place to go. I always loved Sasha Farm for that reason. That was a decompressing time for me. But you're gonna have to find some time to take care of yourself, or it's gonna catch up with you in the long run. Now, I promised the animals in the 90s, especially that elephant at the circus I think people know about that I saw. This is what opened my eyes. I made a promise that I would give my life for her. And I told some other animals, I'll give my life for you guys. I'm going to tell everybody about your plight. And I did. I'm a man of my word. I keep my promises. I might be alive right now and talking to you, but I died inside a long time ago. And I'm not looking for sympathy or empathy. I made a promise, and I knew what I was doing. And that's just part of this game, man, that this is how deep I was into it, which is why I also don't understand the hatred that people have thrown my way. And again, well, you want to dislike something else I said about human rights or whatever it is, can't you just say, okay, I don't like Gary's opinion on this, but man, that motherfucker was one hell of an animal rights activist, and he went out there and he really put a dent in the world, because that's all I ever agreed to do anyways. So I don't get this whole cancel culture mentality and throwing people aside. And by the way, don't agree with me 100% of the time. I don't want you to. You
Right.
shouldn't. Who in the world should you agree with 100% of the time? I mean, I'm positive you don't agree with your wife 100% of the time. I didn't agree with Erica. You can't. It
Right.
doesn't
No,
mean, oh, we can't be
100%.
friends anymore. Right? So this is stupid. Like, oh, I didn't like this from Gary. So even though I like 90% of all Gary's stuff, but 10% of it you don't like. So, fuck Gary. Get rid of him. Why?
Right. No, that's
Just
crazy.
go, yeah, just be like, okay, make a statement. Like I said, I don't like this, but man, you got to check out his speech. He
And
really did something for the animals.
and I want to talk about vegan infighting too, because especially if you're on George's channel. So I want to get to that really quick. Um, Back on the topic of health also, because I one thing that really stood out with you, and I was mentioning this in the last stream, that you were kind of the first person for me, right, that acknowledged how awful humans are, right? Like it's almost like there's always been this like almost like toxic positivity thing where like it's like the big, not to say, pardon the pun, but like the big elephant in the room where like humans really are awful, like as a whole, right? Obviously, you have like, glimpses of light with certain individuals, but for the most part, we're really like you look at what we did with to other humans, what we continue to do to other animals. It's horrific, and I've always felt that like I've always had this like huge what feels like weight on my shoulders of like have like feeling that, and I feel like you feel that, right? You get that, but you were the first person to like acknowledge that and to really like say it out loud, like humans suck, humans are doing this, humans are doing that. How do you deal with that? Like how do you like it's almost like once you see it you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Like how do you
And
deal
that's
with
the
that?
problem. The more I analyzed it, because remember, when I started out, I was using intersectionality. I was talking about the genocide in Darfur. I spoke about the bombs dropped in Hiroshima. I talked about slavery. I talked about the Jewish Holocaust. I talked about everything, making comparisons. And then the more I thought about it, I realized, boy, we are a disgusting scourge to this planet. And there's always only been a small group of people trying to explain to the larger group what was going on. So the majority of humans definitely suck. And I think I mentioned on one of the famous interviews from Israel that people like that if you removed humans from the face of the planet, do you realize everything gets better? This is how unimportant and unspecial humans are, that if you take us out of the planet, animals thrive, the forests thrive, the air gets cleaner, the water gets cleaner. But if you remove ants from the planet, the whole ecosystem collapses. This is how important ants are to the planet. If the bees disappear, and we've been hearing about this, the ecosystem is going to suffer. So the animals do have a role to play for a healthy ecosystem. All we do is destroy an ecosystem. We're parasites. And as I told you already, I'm not a politician. So I'm going to tell you, what I feel and what I see. And it was a weight off my chest to be able to say that I no longer worship at the altar of humanity. I no longer put humans on a pedestal. In fact, I put them below the pedestal. I put animals way above the pedestal of human beings. And most people can't handle that because they love themselves or they want to love their own species, which I don't know why. I mean, the more people I talk to, the more people actually always say something horrible about humans. In fact, if you talk to Democrats and Republicans in America, they prove it. They hate each other. They think the other
Right.
side is evil, but then they turn around and go, how could that animal activist condemn human beings? I'm like, you guys condemn 50% of the people in America every single day, every time you
Yeah, no, it's a
talk.
good point.
But to me, the Democrats and the Republicans are the same because you're all a bunch of fucking meat, dairy, and egg eaters. You all demand life, liberty, and happiness for yourselves, but you refuse to give it to the animal kingdom. So I'm outside the box. I see you all as being shitty. And I want to say this about infighting, though, because you also brought that up.
Hmm.
I was the biggest infighter back in the day, and I regret it wholeheartedly. Honestly, I do. Nowadays, I don't want to infight anymore because it doesn't accomplish anything, especially when we're fighting all the meat, dairy, and egg eaters. And listen, I quarreled with the best of them. All these people too are having these little bullshit infights. I quarreled with Ingrid Newkirk and PETA, Paul Watson, Sea Shepherd. I went at it with the big guns. I regret everything I ever said or did against them because they were always going to do things the way they wanted it to be done, and I was always going to do things the way I wanted it to be done. And this is where people have to understand, stop being an armchair quarterback, stop critiquing somebody else. If you don't like my style, go out and do it your way. And listen, I hope you're more successful than I am. For anybody who thinks I'm arrogant, people used to send me an email a lot that said something like, I heard Earthling Ed or Joey Carbstrong, and they're way better than you, and their speeches are better. I'm like, good. I hope they achieve more than I did, and I'll be the first to lift them up on my shoulder and say, man, awesome. You guys got 10 million vegans. Holy shit, that's great. Like, that's not an insult. I don't want it to, it has to be me. So don't discourage other people from being successful, especially when they are. Just go do it your own way. That's what I wish I would have done, which I was doing, and I should have just shut my mouth and not screamed at other vegans and had all these infights. I should have just kept doing what I was doing, because I knew for me this was the proper path, and you can see by the success I had. I'm proud to say that it was the proper path. Now, I'm not sure other people could have said the things I said and felt comfortable, but I felt comfortable saying all these things. I felt comfortable speaking my mind, and I still do. I wish everybody would.
Yeah, and that's again, that's one thing I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that I respect is like you didn't ask me what my views were on this before coming on, right? You didn't ask, right? Like, and speaking of George, because you were on Carnism Debunk, right? You were talking to George, and I've had George on this channel, and we disagree on a lot. Like, honestly, I would say probably 90% of stuff outside of veganism we disagree with, but that's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to have differing political opinions. It's okay to have
Why not?
disagreements. And at the end of the day, like I think there's a healthy level of criticism, right? Like if someone has a good argument or somebody wants to bring up a point or try and critique maybe a view you have, that's fine. But some people, to try and get you kicked out of donation fundraisers or try and get you, call you not vegan or whatever people say, is just
Well,
it's baffling to me. It doesn't make any sense.
well, don't you listen? You don't have to go low. You have to throw low blows at me.
Right,
Just say I don't like Gary's position over here. And there's so many positions. There's pro-gun, anti-gun, pro-choice, anti-choice. Pro-life, pro-choice. There's so many things that it's going to be impossible that we're going to agree. We're going to have disagreements. And
right.
again, since when? I hate this culture that we live in. You have one disagreement with somebody, and all of a sudden you can't be friends anymore. That's just absurd to me.
No, 100%. I agree with you, and that's one thing I really liked
And
about you being.
I have friends on the Palestinian side. I got friends on the Israeli side. And listen to me, friends. We are still friends. We just say, oh, no, I look at it this way. I look at it that way. Okay. Because the main thing that we agree upon, these friends, we're vegans. And
Mhm.
that's what comes first. And that's what I always loved about veganism. If we have this in common, let's unite on this issue, because animals are the most oppressed, most abused, most murdered beings on the planet. And it's my position. This is why I put animals ahead of humans. They deserve it more. They're suffering more. They've been suffering more. In fact, we learned how to oppress human beings because we practiced on the animals first. Think about that thing. To me, if you want to destroy racism, sexism, and heterosexism and all the evil things and classism, you got to destroy hatred at its root. The root is speciesism. Get rid of that. You watch all the other forms of hatred fall by the wayside. This is my focus. And this is 29 years of watching and paying attention. And not only that, people have been trying to find human rights for thousands of years to no success. Zero fucking success. So I know how they're doing it is wrong. This is why I'm condemning focusing on human rights. Because
Yeah.
what they're really saying is humans first, animals last. I've just flipped it. I said, you know what? Bullshit. Animals first, humans last. That's all I'm saying. And keep in mind when I say fuck human rights, okay, my my comedic hero is George
Right. Or you're
Carlin.
speaking in hyperbole. Yeah. People take things so literally.
Yes,
Like,
they
yeah, like
take every. again, listen, I've always viewed myself as a comic. I know other people don't, but I think I'm pretty funny sometimes. But George Carlin, maybe I should have explained it. He has a famous skit that I love. It's called Fuck the Children. And he gets on stage and he says, I'm tired of all this attention being paid to children. What about the children? Help the children, feed the children, save the children. You know what I say? Fuck the children. They're getting entirely too much attention. Now, you don't really think he meant fuck the children. He was being sarcastic, hyperbole. He's making a point that everything's got to revolve around kids. So when I'm saying fuck human rights, I got it from his fuck the children skit. And I'm going, fuck human rights. That's what I'm saying in
Yeah,
my
no, no.
head.
I get it, man. I don't understand. Like people, like they'll clip everything. Like it's like we've lost the ability to understand humor or hyperbole or anything, right? Like I hear you again. I've honestly I've said like, dude, fuck humans. Like I've said like I hate people sometimes, but I don't actually. I am a
Right.
human. Like I don't actually like mean that. I still agree. I still believe in equality. I still believe in human
I
rights.
get it.
But
I get humans. I get it too. And by the way, it's funny when Paul Bashir visited me about 4 years ago back in Michigan, as he came to the gym and saw me say hi to everybody. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Leo. Hey, Big John. Hey, Mike. What's up? He's like, man, you are the nicest misanthrope I've ever seen. I said, that's because people don't understand misanthropy either. It doesn't mean I hate individual humans. I actually like most individual humans that I come
right.
across, and I'm very kind and nice. I hate humankind is what I hate. We're
Mhm.
a scourge, like I just explained. That's what I'm saying. Individually, people act like I'm throwing rocks at little kids on the playground, or I'm tripping old people walking down the street. No, I'm not. I'm actually the guy helping the fucking old person walk down the street. In fact, when I was living in my last house, my neighbor, she was 70 something. The husband died. Then the neighbor next door, her husband died. I mowed both of their lawns for free for 2 years. I'm not going to make you 75-year-old women go out there and mow. I don't mind. I got extra time. I like being out in the sun anyways. And like, really, people think that I hate human beings, that I would do that for two strangers who weren't vegans, by the way. I did make them listen to some messages that I said, I just want to talk to you about something. Not that it worked, but I help my neighbors out, man. I'm a nice guy, honestly. And when people sit down with me in the same room, I always make a joke. I said, is anyone really scared of me? The crazy terrorist that everybody says, are
Right.
you really frightened of me right now? I'm just a goofball that speaks loudly and speaks proudly on behalf of the animals, and I won't back down, and I'll say anything on their behalf. I speak for them like I would want to be spoken for if I were in their position. That's it.
Yeah. No, and I find sometimes the people who are so vocal, right? Like this is a common like cliche where it's like conservatives or a person who advocates for like uh being against pedophilia or something, right? A lot of times, a lot of times they're the ones behind the scenes, doing the abuse. And it's like it's such a classic thing. Like some of the people who are so like, oh, I love humans, I love this, I love that, they actually don't do anything. They don't help, they don't do anything. It's more lip service than anything. Um,
That's spot on, by the way. I used to tell people that would want to argue in my Q&A. They'd say, why don't you do something for humans? I said, why don't you do something for humans? What do you do? I got to do everything. I got to save the whole damn world. I'm doing my part. This is the cause I believe in. Why don't you go out? But yet it's lip service. They just want to say it because it puts an imaginary halo over their head. And they think, oh, well, I like humans more than animals. Well, tell me what you're doing for humans. And no one ever gave you an answer. They were
right,
never
right.
doing shit for humans.
Yeah, and I find like you said, the individuals. So like I come across a lot of individuals that give me, I guess that's the hope, right? The glimmer of hope that individuals can change, right? But you put us all together as a collective, and somehow we become the greediest, most destructive species on the planet. But individuals, right? I guess that's the power of like social behavior, because as individuals, a lot of times people have really good values or really like caring instincts when you talk to them individually, but they just go along with everyone else, right? They just follow the status quo. They go along with what's socially acceptable, like exploiting animals, like slavery in the time of slavery, whatever we want to look at. And it's
The
such a,
gang mentality.
yeah, it's so interesting. And it's like that tug of war.
Funny story. You just jogged my memory. I was at East Carolina University. Some guy wanted to argue with me during Q&A, and he said, how many homeless people have you brought into your home? I said, right back. I said, how many have you brought into your home?
Right, right. Yeah.
He said, none. I said, what? I got to take in homeless people now too? Really? Again, and by the way, I honestly said, if I were to bring a homeless person into my house, would you and everyone else become vegan today? Because I'll do it.
Right.
No. I mean, so yeah, like they hurl accusations and they won't even fucking change. Like they're just trying to catch us in some kind of
My
predicament.
favorite
And
one is
like,
the cell phone. Have you ever gotten the cell
yeah,
phone one?
no, what?
My favorite one is when because I'm talking to people on the street and I'm filming with a phone, and they're like, "Well, you have a cell phone. People had to be
Because where
exploited."
it
We're
came
like,
from.
"Okay, you have a cell phone." It's like, so we're
Yeah.
equal there. So what's like? What are we talking about?
Same thing with the car stuff. And by the way, I would get that a lot. You drive a car. I said, wait a second. At what point in the speech did I condemn car driving?
Right, right, right.
Because I'm asking you to do something that I'm not doing. I'm not a hypocrite. I came in here and told you not to eat or wear animals. If I'm doing that, not doing that, you cannot do that as well. But you're right. If I did come in and condemn the car industry and then jump in my car or jump on a fucking airplane, that's why I intentionally never brought that into the mix, because it is hypocritical to me. And I didn't bring up the cell phones either and all the other issues. That there are other issues going on. Just want to acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's no worse issue right now than animal slavery, than stealing the babies of animals. And that's something that's outrageous to me too. And I just thought of this summer. The baby stealing seems to be the worst thing that we do to these animals. The slaughterhouse now to me is like the fifth or sixth thing that's that's horrible. It's the baby stealing, the mutilations, the confinement, lack of sunlight. But you can go around this planet for human beings, right? Take a black woman, a white woman, an Asian woman, Hispanic woman, Arab woman. It doesn't matter which one. If they're pregnant and they have a baby, that baby belongs to them. But all of a sudden, a cow, pig, chicken, or turkey has a baby, and the baby belongs to a meat eater,
Yeah.
to the meat industry. It is the most outrageous thing that I can actually think of right now that we're doing to animals. And there is no defense for that. Stealing somebody else's baby.
Well, what's so heartbreaking is it's one of the most like it doesn't even take logic. It's instinctual, right? Like when you see a cow care for their calf, most people, if they're not biased, if they're not speaking out of whatever, if they look at that, they see a mother and a child, right? It's instinctual, right? You feel it touches some place in your heart, right? But all of a
Right.
sudden, I literally had a conversation with two. They were older too. And they've had kids, and they said they don't know if that cow can care for they don't know if that cow feels love for their baby. They don't know. Like I'm like, you don't know. Like, really? Like, this is it's the most instinctual thing you can see is a mother and a child, and you don't know.
That's the shittiest thing that meat eaters do. They come up with the most inane, insane excuses. Instead of just saying, I've always accepted this, I hated it, but I accepted it. Just look at me in the face and say, you don't give a shit.
Right. Or
Do
like,
you have to do you have to
yeah,
come up with the lies? God says it's okay, or animals are too stupid to take care of their own babies, or they can't think, they can't feel. Where's my protein? That's where the arguments came in when they lied. But I've told classes that were rude. I said, why don't you just tell me you don't give a shit and I'll leave? And then they say, oh, I don't give a shit. I said, well, then fine. I knew that. Well, why did you bring up God says it's okay? Why did you bring up protein then? Why didn't you just say, I don't care? Because I can't make you care, but I can destroy all of your lives. I can absolutely obliterate everything you're saying, but just stop lying. But yeah, man, that's like at the top of the list. They can't care for their babies. Well, how did they survive all this time? What do you mean?
yeah, yeah.
How's
And
that even
then
possible?
and the non so like the non-vegan friends, the non-vegan family members, I can respect to a certain degree, right? Because they know I'm right, right? They support me. They know I'm right. They just don't want to do it. They don't give enough shit. They don't give enough shit to do it. They don't and they acknowledge that I'm right. So that, even though like you said, I hate that. Like, I wish they just had the will or just made the change. But at least it's better than coming up with all these bullshit excuses that I could debunk in 5 minutes.
I'll give you another funny story. By the way, this is what I kind of want to do. I might go around and set up dates where people have to pay to hear me. Not for me, so I can donate the money to Sasha Farm. And I just want to tell stories. Now, the stories I tell, by the way, the entertaining ones are the crazy ones. It's not entertaining to me if I tell you, oh my God, I went to St. Mary's College and all 25 students were in tears and stood up and shook my hand on the way out and said, Gary, you're like Gandhi, you changed my life. That's talk about narcissistic. I want to tell you the crazy story. So I'm at Miami-Dade and I knew this kid was bad. I had a gift when I walked into a classroom. I could go good, bad, on the fence. So I had this guy pegged as evil when I walked in the room. I get to Q&A. He's the only one with his hand up. And I'm trying to like, does anyone else have a question?
Right.
Anybody, any question whatsoever? And I'm like, fuck, I got to call on this guy. I call on him. I wish nothing but evil and death to the animals. Right back,
Wow.
I say, I hope that evil and death returns to you and your family tenfold. He says, fuck you. And he gets up and leaves. Well, talk about a fucking pussy too. What, you can give it, but you can't take it? But you thought you got the kinder, gentler vegan? Who did you think that you listened to for the last 60 minutes, man? And how dare you say that after I pour my heart out to you for 60 or 70 minutes? But I was so angry that day. This is kind of funny. You're going to not understand, but I got tired at that moment of people making me feel like I was crazy and I was wrong. So I said to the class, you know what? Nobody's going vegan today. And everyone's kind of looked like, wait, what? That was your whole speech. I said, no one's going vegan today. But right now, one by one, we're going to start right here. You're going to say, Gary, you're right about everything. Go ahead, start right there. And I screamed at him, and they're like, Gary, you're right. Gary, you're right. One by one. But then it was, Gary, you're right. I'm going vegan. Gary, you're right. I'm going vegan. Gary, okay, I'm not going vegan, but you are right. I'm like, that's all I want to hear. And then when everybody said it, I said, now get the fuck out of this classroom. So they would get under my nerves a lot. And this professor, Charles Fink, he brought me in all the time. He thought it was funny. Again, when you see me losing it, it was kind of a moment that professors actually enjoyed because they saw it was kind of a legendary thing that happened, the way I threw the crowd out or the way I handled the crowd. But it was just, how could you say I wish evil and death to the animals?
Yeah, it's
Well,
such a heartless thing to say.
Jesus Christ. And just say I don't care, but you really wish evil to somebody that's never harmed you? Listen, I get wishing evil to a child molester, to a rapist, to Hitler, to John Wayne Gacy. I get that. You wish evil to a cow?
Yeah.
What the
To
fuck is a
literally
cow?
herbivorous animals that just want to live.
That, by the way, the herbivores have gone to another level. They are the only peaceful beings on this planet. In fact, I'm going to start a new group one day. I keep telling people I'm going to call it HO, herbivores only. And they are the ones that we should be imitating. They are the ones that have gone past everyone else and said, I can live on this planet peacefully. I'm not going to harm anybody. And that's what I love about the herbivores too. When I look at the watering holes in Africa and Asia, you got a rhino, a hippo, a giraffe, an antelope, a zebra. Everybody's in peace. But all of a sudden the lion walks up or the human being walks up and they're like on edge going, oh shit. Every time they come around, somebody dies. The herbivores are the peaceful beings on this planet by far.
No, for sure. I agree with you there. And I want to be mindful of your time. So I have a couple more questions. I also have a surprise that you almost spoiled at the beginning, but I have a couple questions. The one thing I just wanted, because I didn't have this question planned, but you bring it up a couple times. So I'm just curious because you mentioned the universe, you mentioned God. I know that from what I've heard of you, you're pretty against like religion or like extremist religion. So what are your views? Like, are you religious? Are you an atheist?
I'm
What are your
not
views?
opposed. So I'm opposed to ritualistic religious practices.
Okay.
I would not mind if people wanted to say the rosaries and pray 18 hours a day and grow long beards and wear a big fucking hat or a yarmulke, if they were good people. So to me, religion has been turned into rituals and no longer being a good person, when the basis of all religions have 4 words, by the way: thou shalt not kill. You're supposed to be kind. You're supposed to be gentle. You're supposed to, love your neighbor. And I don't see any of this happening. I see people ignoring all the good parts of the Bible, all the good parts of the Torah, all the good parts of the Quran, and gravitating towards the violent scriptures that are in there, the mean ones, the ones that want to okay oppression. So I actually believe in God. I believe in a good, peaceful God. I believe that God created the animals, and I've told people before, you also believe that too. Anyone that believes in God believes God created the entire planet, the entire universe, and all the creatures. So the way I see it, if you believe in God, but you murder his animals, you are murdering a piece of God. And I'm really sick and tired too of everybody worshiping things that humans have created in the name of God and shitting on everything that God created. Again, drop a Bible on the floor, people pick it up and kiss it. Drop the Quran on the floor, oh, I pick it up and kiss it. Oh my God, the rosary, the church burned down or something. It's just a fucking building. When I was in Israel, I had to be taken away from the Wailing Wall because I saw people standing against a fucking wall going like this and praying to a fucking wall. It's a fucking wall. But you kill cows and pigs and chickens. You destroy the forest. You destroy the water. You destroy the air, everything that God made. So it's time that people who are religious, who believe in God, start worshiping things that God actually made and fuck the things that humans have made in God's name. That shit doesn't mean anything. Now, I had Kate, who I mentioned earlier, a very religious person. She always said, Gary, you are so harsh when you go off on your religious shit. I said, but I wouldn't be so harsh if people were good people. I wouldn't care. I might make a joke or two like George Carlin, but I wouldn't care if you wanted to worship a rock, you wanted to grow a long beard because you thought it was holy, you wanted to pray 18 hours a day. I think it's absurd, but you know, if that's all you're going to do, and you're going to have dead animals in your refrigerator, and you're going to support animal slavery and animal murder, you're going to hate on gay people, hate on black people, think that women shouldn't be treated equally, well, I'm going to make fun of you, and I'm going to point out the inconsistency and the absurdity of all your ritualistic practices.
Yeah, and I find that my biggest issue with
Think you froze
religion.
up again, or I froze up?
Oh, yeah, I think your camera's gone. Hold on. But we still hear you. Hold on. Oh, all right, we lost Gary. Hold on. He should be coming back in a second. Okay, there we go.
The power of technology.
All right, you're back. We heard everything though. So you were here, you were
Okay, you
loud and
got it
clear.
all. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That
I
was
was
a
gonna
good shtick. I hope it didn't cut off.
No, we heard everything, so I'm glad to. But my biggest thing, and I agree with you, I think religion, my biggest issue with religion is that more often than not, unfortunately, it's used to justify harmful things, right? It's used to justify, slavery, animal oppression, whatever it is. I actually had, what's so funny is I was debating two Christians on the street one time, and they were like, well, humans, I was like, what's the difference, right? And they were like, well, humans are made in the image of God. I said, okay, who made the animals? They said God. I said, okay. So whose image are the animals made in? If they're made by God, but the only humans are made in the image of God, so who made whose image are the animals made in? And they couldn't give me an answer, right? So it's like they use these things. Even if you do believe in a God, if you think God created everything, it should be pretty obvious that we shouldn't be mass slaughtering all of his creations or their creation.
Yeah. And mass producing them to mass slaughter them too. You want to talk about some, obscenity going on too. Who all of a sudden we're God and we get to recreate them because we've been genetically engineering all
Right,
of those
that's true.
animals too. There is no more natural cow, pig, chicken, or turkey. When I was a kid growing up, turkeys used to weigh 10 to 14 pounds for Thanksgiving. Nowadays, they're 18 to 28 pounds. What have they been working out or something? Bullshit. We've been genetically engineering them. This is what animal husbandry is all about. And I'll give you a quick story too about religion. That was some of my favorite debates. I became pretty good at arguing the Bible with a lot of people. I had to. I was talking to so many people. I'm at New Jersey City University. And for some reason, women argued the Bible more than men with me. And this woman during Q&A brings up, "Oh, Gary, you're picking and choosing your scriptures. You have to accept the whole Bible." Because we got into a scriptural battle. I'd say Genesis 1:29, God gave us seed-bearing plants. She'd say, well, Genesis 9:3, God gave us all the animals that moveth along the ground. So then I say Hosea 2:18, the bow and sword I will abolish, so all may lay down in safety. So it's back and forth. And she calls me out and said, I said, you know what? Guilty as charged. You're right. I am picking and choosing, but so are you. She goes, no, I'm not. I go, I say a scripture and you say a different one. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm picking ones that are compassionate and peaceful. You're picking violent ones. She goes, nope, you got to accept everything. So I used to think really good on the fly. And I said to myself, I'm going to use something on her and she's going to say two things and I'm going to catch her. So I said, so you believe everything? She said, yeah. I said, okay. Can you tell us what Timothy 2:12 says? She says, no. I said, yeah, I didn't think so. It says women should be silent in front of men. They should sit and obey and be obedient. Shut up. Now, when I said that, I knew in my head she was going to say two things. That's different, and things change. But I knew she was going to ramble on this. So I wanted to rile her up. So I said, shut up, like 6 times. Like, shut up, no, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then I let her go. And sure enough, she said, blah, 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 how dare you talk to me like that? Blah, 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 blah. That's different. Blah, 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 how dare you? Blah, blah, blah. Things change. And I go, oh, wait, time out, time out, time out, time out. Just so you know, I think that scripture is fucking bullshit. No woman should have to sit in silence, and obey a man. But you said something that was really curious to me. You said, that's different. Is it different because you're the victim in this situation? How do you think the animals come up with all these scriptures? You don't think they're going, wait, no, it's different. That's not what it means. We want Isaiah 11:7. The wolf will live with the lamb, the cow will feed with the bear, and no one will harm my holy mountain. She goes, no. So now I said, I want her to say things change. I go, you said two other words that were very key. Come on, say those two words. What were those two words? She goes, I don't remember. I said, come on. You know those two words you said near the end. She did it better than I thought. She took her fist and she goes, I said things change. I was already standing in front of the room with my arms crossed. And yeah, they sure do. So
Yeah, things change. Yeah.
Yeah. Because things do change. We used to do archaic, horrible things. I mean, white slave owners in America used Leviticus, I think it was 25:45 to justify black slavery. It's outrageous. Like you said, we've always used religious teachings to justify cruelty and oppression instead of ending it.
Right. Gary, you cut out again, so exit, go. Okay, we lost Gary. All right. But I'm gonna summarize what he said. Hold on. I understood the story, so I'm gonna get him back, summarize, and then we'll probably wrap it up because the connection issue. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right, Gary, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Oof. All right, that's pretty bad. All right, guys. Sorry, technical difficulties. Yeah, it must be the German internet for sure. We'll see if we can get him back on. Hope you guys are enjoying. Again, while I'm waiting, um, every donation is going to Sasha Farms. So I put in a pinned comment. You can donate directly on the website, or you can donate directly to me, and I will send all the donations once YouTube gives it to me over to Sasha Farms. So if you have any questions for Gary or anything, put them in the chat. I will ask him with a donation. All right. Um, Still waiting for Gary. Hopefully he's able to join again, but we'll see. Really interesting. Gary's a very interesting dude. I actually find it's interesting. I actually agree with him on a lot of stuff, but I like that I asked some unique questions about vegan dating and stuff. That's I've always wondered what his take was. All right, maybe he's rebooting or something. But I do have a surprise. For whatever reason he can't get back on, I'll still show the surprise. But I wanted to see his reaction. So just summarize while I'm waiting for Gary, I think the idea of this, like with the story, because the audio was cutting out, but I think I understood what he was saying, is, she said you have to take everything, you can't pick and choose, you have to take everything at face value with the Bible. And he pointed out a scripture that's outdated that talks about, oppressing women. And, she said, well, things change, right? And that's the whole point is as time goes on, interpretation changes, morals and values need to adapt, right? So she he kind of proved her wrong in that case. Yes, she conceded, I believe. Now I don't know if she conceded the veganism thing, but she conceded to her original point of the Bible. Sounds like. Come on, Gary, reboot the internet. I can picture him like his. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Mm. Gary, if you can hear me, I see you're trying to join, but I don't see. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's my side, your side. It could be mine. So
No
yeah, I'm
worries,
back.
no worries. But people are kind of invested. I think I understood you were cutting out a little bit, but it sounds like
Okay.
after you pointed out that's the verse about the women oppression or women being told to shut up. She essentially had nothing left to say except things change, and that kind of proves her point wrong, right?
And I was saying things change. How long do animals have to wait for their freedom? And listen, even if you want to say that animals are less than worthy, even if you want to say humans are more important, some other things I used to say, okay, fine. You know what then? We won. You guys win. You're the kings of the world, the kings and queens of the universe. Okay, you've conquered the entire animal kingdom. So can you show them some mercy now? Can you ease up now? You won. Does it have to go on and on? How long are you gonna, drive their face into the fucking mud? How long are you gonna stand on their throats? Why can't you lead with a compassionate touch instead of an iron fist? When does it end? And if you think about how long it took for forms of human oppression to end, it took 400 years to convince white people in America to liberate black slaves. It's so sad. This is why this animal holocaust has been going on for thousands of years, and why it has the capability of going on for thousands and more. Although I think there might be a glimmer of hope, it's not going to be from an ethical point. I think the cell meat industry is probably going to eradicate the meat industry, because once they realize how profitable it's going to be to eliminate all the things that go on with animal agriculture, I think that's probably going to end the pain and suffering. And I'll tell you what, I don't care how it ends, as long as it ends. I really don't. It has to stop. It's been going on for too long. But religious people are a tough crowd. But I want to say, I reached a lot of religious people over the years. You just have to know your argument, stand firm, stand strong, explain what God really is all about, and tell people, like I told them, if you say God condones all the evil things we do to the animals, then what the fuck does the devil do? Because then the God you're glorifying is no better than the devil you're condemning. You're saying God is the devil, and one's a killer and one wants to protect. So just point that out to people. It clicks in some people, it doesn't click in other people, but it's just like every other argument.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can explain it properly, sometimes you can't. It really depends on the listener, the more I think about it. It's really not on the speaker. People wanted to blame me. I said, no, I gave the same speech earlier today and everybody went vegan. You guys didn't give me a chance. If it was always against me, I'd say, you know what, maybe I'm not saying it right.
Right.
You
That's the
guys
thing.
came in. Yeah.
When people critique the messenger, it's not
Right.
me, right? It's not us, right? Obviously, there's valid criticism for everyone or valid improvement, but it's not us. It's you guys, right? It's the people who are resistant to change.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have one last question, but before we do that, I do have a surprise because I want to show. I don't know if people have seen this, but I need to make sure. I don't know if you guys can see this on stream. Is this you? Is this you, Gary? This is hold on. So
I
this
miss my auburn locks, man.
I did
That's
some
a
digging,
long.
and this is long hair Gary. Look, I even got the whole photo shoot
That's
here. So this is
very
long
cool.
hair Gary.
Those are my rap demo pictures when I did the
Yes.
rap in '92.
So and that
And yeah.
so I was just gonna say, anyone who thinks Gary's racist, look up his raps. So Gary's
It's an
raps,
anti-racist rap.
he literally was speaking on political issues, social issues related to racism and different things. It's honestly, it's pretty good. I actually, it's got
It's
like an
not
old
bad,
school,
by
but
the way.
it's actually very good. It's like I'm very surprised you were that good at rapping. But yeah, go ahead, explain the long hair, explain everything.
That's just how I grew up, man. And I do miss my long auburn locks, but I started to lose it up top, so it was going in the horseshoe thing. I just had
Yeah,
to let it go
yeah.
completely. But a couple of my friends make fun of me. And they're like, "Remember in high school, you used to walk around going like this with your hair all the time?" I was like, "Yeah, I fucking love my hair, man. I was always fucking flipping it out." That was 4 years before veganism. So for all the people screaming at me too, a couple of things. Number one, I was speaking about anti-racism before you were probably even born. Okay. And number two, humans made me this way. I didn't want to hate humans when I started. I wanted to talk to them. I couldn't wait to talk to the religious crowd. I couldn't wait to talk to minorities. I thought they were going to get it more. I couldn't wait. And then over the years, they just fucking shit on everything that we were talking about. They ignored the animals, made excuses, and humans made me hate humans. Stop it. Unless you're paying attention, which you're not, you should not be worshiping at the altar of humanity. There is nothing impressive here. Technologically, we are brilliant. Ethically, we're on par with parasites. We've always been. We're just a scourge to this planet. There's nothing positive about us collectively. Again, individually, I don't mind people, but collectively, we suck. We really do.
No,
And by the way,
100%.
I'm kind of into battle rapping these days. I'm not doing it. I'm not engaging in a battle rap. I just kind of mess around. So one of my lines these days is, "Man, you was soft as feminine parts, but I'm like Eminem painting a portrait of Bruce Lee. That's martial arts. Used to give love to everybody, but that's partial hearts. Not the animals only. When I say go vegan, don't have a cow, man. That's only partially Barts. Two
Nice.
bullets in my pocket and my check raising or hell raising, trail blazing, weed smoking, stargazing, seed eating, field grazing. So good with a straight razor, make it look like it's killed yourself by you shaving."
I'm gonna be honest with you, Gary. Look, I thoroughly enjoyed that rap song you made. You should make more. I'm honestly, I would love to hear some new Gary Yourofsky rap. It's so, especially with like that the old school beat to it. It's surprisingly good.
Keep in mind, it was from '92, so it does have an old school feel to it. But
No, but
yeah,
I'm into.
um,
I'm look. Some of my favorite rap is like old that kind of era of rap. So I'm into it. I'm a huge fan.
the interesting thing is the Funky Bass team did my music. And if you look it up, the Funky Bass team were the original people doing Eminem. So they were deciding which Detroit white rapper to choose. It was me or it was Eminem. They made the right choice. They went with M. Trust me, Eminem. I found out, yeah, motherfucking Mike. I don't want to compete. I don't want to. Don't, please don't use me in a fucking rap. Don't diss me, M. I would love for Eminem to get veganism too. Can you imagine the things that he would be saying?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I want him to hear the message, man.
that would be very cool. But thank you so much for your time, Gary. I have one question. It's more of like honestly, I'm just curious what you think. Because obviously you've been vegan since '96. This vegan thing is relatively new-ish, in the grand scheme of things. But what do you see the future holding, right? So in the next 50 years, 100 years, is there hope? Like you said, lab-grown meat may be a possibility, but do you see hope for a vegan world? What direction do you see things heading in?
I don't want to discourage people. I don't. There's a lot of people with a lot of fire in their belly, like I used to have. Come see me in 29 years when you've been doing this. I don't see much hope. I lost a lot of faith. Of course, I'm still out there doing what I can do, and everybody is. Now, again, it's the cell meat that's going to be the only saving grace. That's the only way I see the animals getting out of this. I don't see humans collectively having an awakening, an ethical awakening, and it breaks my heart. But the cell meat industry could at least destroy the meat, dairy, and egg industries. And for the few vegans that are opposing this, stop it. You're being silly. You're being ridiculous. They're taking a biopsy from an animal. We get biopsies. I never minded when animals went through the same things that we had to go through. The problem is we treat animals like we wouldn't treat humans. So
Right, right,
listen,
right.
we've all been to the doctor. Let me get a biopsy on that little mole that you got there. Okay, it doesn't hurt. It's a little prick. It doesn't hurt. In fact, I'll do the first biopsy for the cell meat industry. Gary Yourofsky, I will put the needle into the cow to get the cells so no cow has to suffer and die again. And once the meat industry realizes how much money they're going to save, I briefly mentioned, you can think about it. The farmer has to have a field of crops. You got to pay the farmer to grow the crops. You got to pay somebody to cut down the crops. You got to pay for the John Deere tractors, right? Then you got to take the crops and you got to feed it to the animals and transport it too. You got to pay for the trucks, pay for the gas. Then you got to pay somebody to take the animals, to take them out of the field, take them from the factory farm, wherever it is, put them on the slaughterhouse truck. You got to pay for slaughterhouse trucks, got to pay for gas, got to pay for a driver. You got to pay slaughterhouse workers when you get to the slaughterhouse. You got to cut them up into pieces. You got to take them to the processing plant. You got to pay people to cut them up. Then you got to put them on the trucks and send them to the grocery stores. But once they realize there's one big building, we're going to grow meat without any central nervous system. We're just growing flesh slabs, right? There's no head, there's no brain, there's no pain. Keep in mind what our objection is: pain and suffering, exploitation. Now it's just a slab of flesh. I don't give a fuck. You can grow it, so
Yeah,
as long as no one's suffering and dying. But once they grow it in one room, they bring it to the next room, they package it up and cut it up, put it on the truck. They're going to realize, oh my God, we're going to make like 80% more profit this way. And that's the reason why they exploit animals. It's the biggest business on the planet. It always has been. People want to think, oh, oil, gasoline, computers, cars, bullshit. Animal slavery is the most profitable business on this planet since the beginning of time, since we created business. So cell meat is probably going to save the day. Other than that, I don't have much faith, because in 29 years, we haven't even abolished dog racing. You want to talk about some low-level shit? Product testing. I had Ted Nugent once during a debate say, Gary, I don't support product testing. We shouldn't be pouring things in the eyes of bunny rabbits. I mean, like, who supports product testing, but it still exists? So
yeah,
I have little faith, because the circuses. I know a lot of places have banned circuses. I know a lot of countries have gotten rid of animal circuses, but not everyone. So there's been no universal ban about animal exploitation issues. So after 29 years, I don't know how I'm supposed to have faith, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't often say that, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope people prove me wrong. Believe me, I'd love to wake up in 10, 20 years and people go, oh my God, Gary, we finally did it. The animals are free. I'd be thrilled, but I don't have much hope these days.
yeah. No, me too, me too. I mean, even some of the most unneeded, purely for entertainment practices towards animals are still happening. I haven't been banned, haven't been abolished. So I'm in the same boat. I think, like you said, I think technological advancement will essentially wipe out the need for animal slaughter, like lab grown meat or whatever else. So yeah, that'll probably do it. But hopefully you are wrong, and hopefully, people will go ethically vegan. But yeah, it's maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe at some point.
This is the tallest task on this planet, the hardest social justice movement ever, which is amazing that I was so successful doing that. It's back in the day, I was converting 50% of the crowd most of the time. It's amazing. In 60 minutes, I convinced people to be nice to chickens. You want to talk about a hard
Yeah, the hard
sell.
sell. Yeah.
And I did it in 60 minutes because now, to me, I had to have that classroom setting. So I took my street protest to the classroom, which is funny because Anonymous for the Voiceless took my classroom presentation to the street. They condensed it down into 3 minutes. I'm like, because I feel out of place out here. I'll be honest too, for people to think I'm arrogant. You ask all the AV people down in Cologne, I'm like, you guys are amazing. You're soldiers. I'm lost out here. I haven't been on the streets in 25 years. That's not where I shine. You guys are amazing. So I needed the classroom setting to make this to make these gains for the animals, to make these vegan gains. Shout out to
Good plug.
vegan. My
but
bad.
uh, but Gary, thank you so much for your time. Again, I want to be mindful of that, but I appreciate you coming on the channel. I appreciate your openness, and being able to disagree and still have conversations. So that's great. Is there anything you want to plug? I know we talked about Sasha Farms, but you could plug that again or anything else. Go ahead.
Actually, that's it, man. Just go, please, if you enjoyed what I had to say today, make a donation to Sasha Farm, sashafarm.org. If you didn't enjoy what I had to say today, don't matter. Please make a donation to Sasha Farm. It's not a donation to Gary Yourofsky. It's for the cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys, and goats and sheep that reside there. Help out the sanctuaries. And if it's not Sasha Farm, help out your local sanctuary. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed this too. I really enjoyed rapping with you, man.
Cool, man. Cool. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Again, the link is going to be in the description of the video as well as in the chat right now to donate to Sasha Farms. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I'll see you guys on the next one. And thank you, Gary. Good luck with everything. All right.
Peace out.